On a crisp autumn day in 1872, New York Harbor was bustling with activity. Among the ships preparing to set sail is the Mary Celeste, an American brigantine gleaming with fresh paint and new fittings. Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs stands proudly on deck, his keen eyes surveying his vessel. This isn't just any ship to him, it's a testament to his faith in maritime trade, having invested a small fortune, $10,000, a jaw-dropping sum for the time, in its recent overhaul. The air is thick with anticipation, as 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol are carefully loaded into the hold. Destination, Genoa, Italy. But this isn't just a cargo run for Captain Briggs. He turns, a rare smile softening his weather-worn features as he watches his wife Sarah and their toddler daughter Sophia Matilda come aboard. Little Arthur, their 7-year-old son, waves from the dock, staying behind with his grandmother to continue his studies. Briggs has handpicked his crew, 8 seasoned sailors he trusts with his life, and more importantly, the lives of his family. As the Mary Celeste casts off on November 7th, there's a sense of optimism. The weather is fair, the ship is sound, and the voyage ahead seems promising. Fast forward 1 month. The vast Atlantic stretches in every direction, its surface glittering under a winter sun. Suddenly, a crewman aboard the Canadian brig Dei Gratia spots something unusual. A ship, sails fully unfurled, drifting aimlessly just 6 miles distant. As they draw closer, an eerie silence descends. There's no sign of life on deck, no response to hails. The vessel is the Mary Celeste, but where is her crew? Where are the Briggs family? The date is December 4th, and one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history is about to unfold. The afternoon sun hangs low in the sky as the Dei Gratia's crew peers anxiously at the approaching vessel. Captain Morehouse stands at the helm, his brow furrowed with concern. The Mary Celeste's erratic movements send a chill down his spine. Something is terribly amiss. Signals flare from the Dei Gratia, bright against the darkening sky. Silence. No answering flags, no shouts across the waves. The tension mounts as Morehouse dispatches his first and second mates to investigate. As they clamber aboard the Mary Celeste, an eerie stillness envelops them. The ship creaks and groans, sails flapping listlessly in the breeze. Signs of recent life are everywhere, but no souls to be found. In the hold, water sloshes ominously, 3.5 feet deep, concerning, but not catastrophic. Open hatches gape like wounds in the deck, and a partially dismantled pump tells a tale of frantic work abandoned. The men edge into the captain's cabin, hearts pounding. Captain Briggs' personal effects lie strewn about, as if tossed by an invisible hand. A sheathed sword peeks out from beneath the bed, its presence both comforting and unsettling. But where are the vital navigational tools? The sextant, chronometer, and ship's register have vanished without a trace. Contrasting sharply with the disarray, the crew's quarters remain untouched. Neatly packed belongings await owners who may never return. In the galley, provisions for a 6-month journey sit undisturbed, a ghostly reminder of plans left unfulfilled. As twilight deepens, a chilling realization dawns. The lifeboat is missing. Somewhere out on the vast Atlantic, 10 souls drift in a tiny craft, their fate unknown. The Mary Celeste, once a proud vessel full of hope and promise, now floats as a hollow mystery upon the unforgiving sea. The sun dips below the horizon as the Dei Gratia's crew pores over the Mary Celeste's enigmatic clues. The ship's gentle rocking belies the tempest of questions swirling in their minds. Picture Captain Morehouse, his weathered face illuminated by a flickering lantern as he leafs through the ship's log. His finger traces the captain's neat script, each entry a window into the Mary Celeste's ill-fated journey. Tales of rough seas and howling winds leap from the pages, painting a picture of a challenging voyage. But then, abruptly, silence. The final entry, dated November 25th, sits like a full stop to an unfinished story. Santa Maria, one of the Azores Islands, was their last known position, a ghostly waypoint now 500 miles distant. As night falls, the investigation yields more questions than answers. The untouched cargo holds its secrets. The galley, with its neat rows of provisions, tells of a sudden departure. Yet the ship herself bears no scars of violence or struggle. In the captain's quarters, Morehouse's gaze lingers on the empty spaces where navigational instruments should be. The missing compass whispers of a planned escape, but from what? Outside, The gentle lapping of waves against the hull seems to mock their efforts to unravel the mystery. Murder? Mutiny? Piracy? Each theory evaporates like sea mist in the face of contradictory evidence. As dawn breaks, Morehouse makes a fateful decision. The Mary Celeste must be brought to Gibraltar. Perhaps there, in civilized ports, this nautical riddle can be solved. With a heavy heart, he selects 3 of his most seasoned sailors, including the stalwart Oliver Deveau, to guide the ghost ship to the harbor. As the 2 vessels part ways, the Mary Celeste slips into the morning fog, her decks still echoing with the footsteps of the vanished crew. The mystery of the Mary Celeste sails on, a siren song of the sea that will captivate imaginations for generations to come. Picture the bustling port of Gibraltar, a melting pot of cultures and rumors. 2 ships, bound by an extraordinary tale, make their way through the mist-shrouded waters. The Dei Grazia arrives first on December 12th, its crew weary but relieved. A day later, emerging from the fog like a specter, the Mary Celeste follows, guided by unfamiliar hands. Word spreads like wildfire through narrow streets and crowded taverns. Whispers of vanished crews and ghostly ships ignite imaginations and fuel suspicions. In dimly lit corners, accusatory glances fall upon the Dei Grazia's sailors. After all, fortune favors the bold, and the law favors those who salvage abandoned vessels. The air is thick with tension as December 17th dawns. The Gibraltar Courthouse, a bastion of British law on foreign soil, prepares for an extraordinary hearing. Chief Justice Sir James Cochrane, his wig perfectly powdered, takes his seat, ready to unravel this maritime mystery. Enter Frederick Solly Flood, Gibraltar's Attorney General, his eyes glinting with barely concealed skepticism. In his mind, a potent cocktail of alcohol and violence lies at the heart of this puzzle. He leans forward, eager to expose what he believes is a web of deceit. As testimony unfolds, the Mary Celeste undergoes a meticulous examination. John Austin, tasked with uncovering her secrets, scours every inch of the vessel. His findings send ripples of shock through the courtroom. Mysterious cuts mar the bow, and more disturbingly, traces of blood stain the captain's sword. Yet curiously, the ship bears no scars of battling treacherous seas. The plot thickens, the mystery deepens. In this courtroom drama, each revelation paints a more perplexing picture. Was it mutiny? A terrible accident? Or something far more sinister? As the sun sets over Gibraltar, the fate of the Mary Celeste and her vanished crew hangs in the balance, a puzzle that seems to defy all logical explanation. Imagine the tension mounting in Gibraltar as the Mary Celeste undergoes yet another examination. This time, it's the sharp eyes of Royal Naval captains that scour her weathered planks. Their findings echo Austin's report, but with a chilling addition: a deep gash in one of the rails, as if struck by an axe in some terrible struggle. On January 22, 1873, a thick dossier lands on desks in London's Board of Trade. Within its pages, Frederick Solly Flood weaves a tale of drunken mutiny and bloodshed. In his mind's eye, he sees the crew, intoxicated and violent, turning against their captain and his family. The cuts in the bow, a clumsy attempt to stage an accident. But as Flood's theory is held up to the light, cracks begin to appear. Picture a chemist's laboratory, where meticulous tests reveal a startling truth. The alleged bloodstains are nothing more than red herrings. The cargo of alcohol, far from being a temptation, is revealed to be undrinkable. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the American consul isn't sitting idle. A U.S. Navy report arrives like a breath of fresh air, offering a prosaic explanation for the mysterious cuts, simply the result of the ship's timbers straining against the sea. Flood's carefully constructed narrative crumbles like a sandcastle at high tide. On February 25, 1873, he was forced to concede defeat. The Mary Celeste is released, but her secrets are still locked away. Yet the stain of suspicion lingers. In the shadowy world of maritime salvage, doubts and whispers have real consequences. The salvage award, once a glittering prize, dwindles to a pittance. As the Mary Celeste prepares to sail once more, she carries with her an invisible cargo, a mystery that will tantalize and perplex for generations to come. The truth of what happened on those fateful days in 1872 slips away like a ship vanishing into the mists of time, leaving behind only questions and the fading hope of answers. Imagine the disappointment etched on the faces of the Dei Gratia crew as they receive their meager reward. a mere $830 in today's money, a pittance for the courage and mystery they encountered. The Mary Celeste, now a whispered legend, sails on under new ownership, but she seems to carry a shadow. Misfortune dogs her wake, fueling whispers of a curse among superstitious sailors. As years pass, picture dimly lit taverns and smoke-filled parlors where theories about the Mary Celeste's fate swirl like sea mist. Each retelling adds a new layer. A monstrous kraken rising from the depths, a ghostly iceberg materializing in warm waters, the very sea itself parting in a catastrophic quake. The line between fact and fiction blurs, truth slipping away like sand through an hourglass. Then, 12 years later, a literary bombshell drops. Arthur Conan Doyle, not yet famous for Sherlock Holmes, pens J. Habakkuk Jeffson's statement. Imagine the public's fascination as they devour this tale of the Mary Celeste, where a vengeful former slave exacts bloody retribution. Though fiction, it reignites the world's obsession with the real Mary Celeste. In Gibraltar, picture an aging Frederick Solly Flood, his eyes alight with renewed determination. Files are dusted off, witnesses re-questioned, but the sea guards its secrets well, and answers remain as elusive as ever. The Mary Celeste sails on through history, no longer a mere abandoned ship, but an enduring enigma. She becomes a canvas for our deepest fears and wildest imaginings, a reminder that even in an age of reason, some mysteries refuse to be solved. Her empty decks still creak with unanswered questions, inviting each new generation to ponder what might have happened on that fateful voyage in 1872. Picture the ship as investigators found her, eerily intact, personal belongings undisturbed, provisions untouched. The image of ruthless pirates boarding only to leave empty-handed seems absurd, a plot hole in an otherwise gripping tale. Now, imagine Captain Briggs, a man of principle, his weathered face creased not just by sea winds, but by years of fair leadership. In your mind's eye, see him poring over his Bible in the quiet of his cabin, a teetotaler amidst a sea of rum-soaked stereotypes. His hand-picked crew, each man vetted for experience and character, seem unlikely candidates for mutiny. The specter of murder also fades under scrutiny. Visualize the De Gratia's crew, hard-working sailors suddenly cast as villains in a maritime whodunit. Yet their story holds water, with no evidence to suggest foul play. The notion of Briggs, driven to madness by religious fervor, turning on his own family and crew? A sensational theory that crumbles in the face of his sterling reputation and the lack of violence aboard. Even the physical evidence, those mysterious cuts and stains, dissolves under expert analysis. Each mark and blemish, once whispered about as signs of struggle, revealed to be nothing more than the ordinary wear and tear of a life at sea. But what of insurance fraud? Picture Briggs, a man who invested heavily in the Mary Celeste's renovation, suddenly abandoning ship for financial gain. It's a theory that struggles to stay afloat when weighed against his character and the risks involved. As we sift through these theories, each less plausible than the last, we're left with a haunting realization. The truth of the Mary Celeste may be far more mundane, and yet, in its way, far more terrifying than any of these sensational explanations. What could drive an experienced crew to abandon a sound ship in fair weather? The answer may lie in the fragile nature of human judgment when faced with the vast, unpredictable power of the sea. Imagine Captain Briggs, a man of integrity, suddenly cast as the mastermind of an elaborate insurance scam. The notion seems as out of place as a desert mirage on the open ocean. His reputation, built over years of honest seamanship, stands in stark contrast to such deceit. Moreover, picture young Arthur, Briggs's son, waiting eagerly for his father's return. Would a devoted family man risk everything, including his child's future, for ill-gotten gains? Now, let's turn our attention to the cargo hold. 9 empty barrels catch our eye, their red oak staves a stark contrast to the white oak of their full companions. In your mind's eye, see the porous wood and feel the dampness as alcohol seeps through microscopic channels. This isn't negligence or sabotage, it's simply the nature of the material. The evidence paints a picture of hasty, but not panicked, departure. Visualize the dismantled pump, tools perhaps abandoned mid-repair. The flooded hold whispers of a persistent problem, one that may have seemed manageable until it wasn't. What's missing tells its own story. The sextant, chronometer, navigation book, and ship's register, tools essential for finding one's way home. The absent lifeboat speaks volumes. This wasn't a crew vanishing into thin air, but men making a calculated decision. As we step back and survey this scene, a theory emerges, more prosaic than pirates or sea monsters, yet no less chilling. Picture Briggs, a cautious man, perhaps overcautious, faced with a worsening leak and malfunctioning pump. The alcohol fumes from the leaking barrels add an element of urgency. In a moment of judgment, or misjudgment, he decides to temporarily abandon ship, taking only what's necessary for navigation. This theory, while lacking the drama of murder or mutiny, aligns with the evidence at hand. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound mysteries arise not from malice or the supernatural, but from the all-too-human decisions made in moments of perceived crisis. The Mary Celeste, then, stands as a testament not just to the perils of the sea, but to the complex interplay of human judgment and the unforgiving nature of the ocean environment. His face weathered by years at sea, eyes constantly scanning the horizon for signs of danger. This isn't just any sailor. This is a man who's felt the cruel sting of the ocean's wrath, having lost 3 siblings to its depths. Picture him in the days before departure, pacing the docks, studying the skies. His decision to delay the journey speaks volumes about his cautious nature. Now let's consider the cargo, 1,701 barrels of denatured alcohol. In your mind's eye, see the hold of the Mary Celeste, barrels stacked neatly, the air heavy with fumes. It's here that our mystery might find its explanation. Enter Dr. Andrea Sella of UCL, her laboratory a miniature stage for recreating maritime disasters. Picture her carefully constructing a replica of the Mary Celeste's hold, the air tense with anticipation. As she simulates the conditions, imagine the sudden, heart-stopping moment of explosion, powerful enough to blow open hatches, yet leaving no visible scars. This theory paints a vivid and terrifying scenario. Visualize the crew going about their daily tasks when suddenly, without warning, an explosion rocks the ship. The hatches burst open, filling the air with acrid fumes. In that moment of panic, with memories of lost loved ones flooding his mind, Briggs makes a split-second decision. He orders everyone into the lifeboat, not as an abandonment, but as a temporary safety measure. Perhaps he intends to wait for the fumes to dissipate before returning. In his haste, he grabs only the essentials for navigation, planning to guide his charges back to the ship once the danger has passed. This hypothesis elegantly explains the missing items, the undisturbed cargo, and the lack of visible damage. It aligns with Briggs' character, a man willing to err on the side of caution when faced with a potentially deadly situation. Yet, as with all theories surrounding the Mary Celeste, it leaves us with a haunting question. If this is indeed what happened, what fate befell the crew in that small lifeboat, adrift on the vast Atlantic? His brow furrowed as he studies the horizon. The ship's position doesn't align with his calculations. They're 120 miles off course. In his mind, doubt begins to creep in. Is the chronometer faulty? Has he inadvertently led his crew and precious family into danger? Now, shift your gaze below the deck. Visualize the dismantled pump, tools scattered nearby, evidence of a desperate attempt to fix a persistent problem. The sound of water sloshing in the hull is a constant, ominous backdrop. While some water in the hull isn't unusual, combine it with a malfunctioning pump, and suddenly, it becomes a potential catastrophe. Rewind to the ship's previous life as a coal carrier. Can you see the fine coal dust settling into every nook and cranny? Now, fast forward to the recent renovation. Imagine construction debris mixing with that residual coal dust, creating a perfect storm of potential pump failure. The weather takes a turn, forcing Briggs to alter course northward. It's not a decision made lightly. Each change of direction carries risk, especially when you're unsure of your exact position. Now, let's consider the lack of panic evident in the ship's condition. This wasn't a frenzied evacuation triggered by a sudden explosion. Instead, envision Briggs, the conscientious leader, calmly assessing the situation. The water in the hold is rising, one pump is dismantled, and they're off course in potentially treacherous waters. In this moment, Briggs makes a decision born of caution and responsibility. He orders an orderly evacuation, not because the ship is sinking that very moment, but because he fears it might. They take only what's necessary for navigation, planning perhaps to follow the Mary Celeste in the lifeboat until they reach safety or the perceived danger passes. This theory aligns perfectly with Briggs' character, a man who's lost family to the sea before, unwilling to take chances with the lives in his care. It explains the missing navigational equipment, the orderly state of the ship, and the absence of signs of violence or panic. As we contemplate this scenario, we're left with a poignant image: the Mary Celeste sailing on, empty yet intact, while somewhere nearby, a small lifeboat carries her crew. Victims not of a dramatic catastrophe, but of a cautious decision in the face of perceived danger. It's a reminder of the unforgiving nature of the sea, where even the most experienced sailors can fall prey to its deceptions. His eyes straining to see the faint outline of land in the distance. Just 6 miles away, tantalizingly close, yet perilously far in these conditions. The ship pitches and rolls beneath his feet, a stark reminder of the rough weather they're battling. Below deck, the disabled pump sits silent, robbing Briggs of crucial information about the water in the hull. In your mind's eye, see him wrestling with an impossible decision. The land is so close, but can the Mary Celeste make it? Or is this their best chance for survival? With a heavy heart, Briggs gives the order to abandon the ship. Picture the crew, moving with purpose but without panic, gathering only what they need for a short journey to land. They lower the lifeboat, believing their ordeal will soon be over. But fate has other plans. As the lifeboat pulls away from the Mary Celeste, imagine the weather worsening. The faint outline of land disappears in the mist and spray. Hours pass, then days. Their meager supplies dwindled rapidly. They had packed for hours, not days at sea. Visualize the growing desperation as they realize their terrible mistake. The faulty chronometer, which led them astray on the Mary Celeste, now compounds their error. Instead of finding safety, they drift further into the vast, unforgiving Atlantic. 9 days later, as the Dei Gratia encounters the abandoned Mary Celeste, picture that small lifeboat, now lost in the immensity of the ocean. The fate of its occupants is a tragic footnote to maritime history. Fast forward to 1884. The Mary Celeste, her name now synonymous with mystery, meets an inglorious end off the coast of Haiti. See her captain, a far cry from the Honorable Briggs, deliberately steering her onto a reef in a botched insurance scam. It's a sad epilogue for a ship that once captured the world's imagination. As we close this chapter of maritime lore, we're left with a poignant reminder of the sea's capricious nature. The Mary Celeste stands as a testament to the fine line between prudent caution and fatal misjudgment, a ghost ship whose empty decks still whisper of lives lost, not to violence or supernatural forces, but to the all-too-human struggle against the elements.